We just put out 3 incredibly valuable directories on our website. Sustaining members are the ones who help make this possible. And so we just wanted to say thank you. We really appreciate your support. All right, let's go ahead and dive into federal capture management made easy. First, I want to talk about just the capture process and how I simplify it, right? If you've been in this industry for a while in the federal market, there's a lot of ways you might have heard about it, but I'm a big fan of simplifying things. This is part of the process for me of making it just easy to understand. And so the way I describe the federal capture management process is you identify an opportunity, right? And so really the first step is finding an opportunity. Sometimes we call it identifying. The second step is to qualify that opportunity. And when I say qualify, I mean you're trying to qualify whether that opportunity is a slam dunk opportunity for your company. Slam dunk opportunity are just opportunities that fall squarely in your core competency. I have a whole nother training on talking about how do you identify your slam dunk opportunities and then how do you find those opportunities. So the first step is finding an opportunity. Second step is qualifying an opportunity. Third step is pursuing an opportunity. There might be all sorts of various stages in your sales pipeline that people describe it as, but basically you're just pursuing an opportunity. I describe it as you're shaping your competitive advantage. So one of my customers has a stage that's pursue and then bid and then proposal. And so pursue and bid are the same thing to me in this 4-step process. They're just pursuing that opportunity. I want to shape the technical requirements. I want to shape the acquisition approach, things like that, right? And so you're shaping that opportunity to your advantage. Find an opportunity, qualify an opportunity, pursue an opportunity, and then write a winning proposal. Those are the 4 steps. So it's pretty simple, that direction. The reason I point them out is because as we talk about the activity that you could be doing, I want to make sure you're working on activity that is contributing to those 4 steps and not some other activity. So I describe it really straightforward as right activity and wrong activity. And so let's talk about wrong activity for a second and some examples here. The biggest thing, and just tell you why I actually latched onto this and I communicated, is I'm a sales guy. I've been a sales guy my entire career. I'm also a business owner. I'm also an IT person, but at my core, since I was 10 or something, I was a salesperson. If you don't know this, I was selling vacuum cleaners door to door when I was 18. So I've been selling for a long time. I obviously evolved into selling billion-dollar opportunities or going after billion-dollar opportunities. But along the way, the idea of selling, the people involved in the process of selling has pretty much been the same, right? You try to understand a customer's needs and fill those needs. That's fundamentally sales. The reason I don't like the wrong activities is because they're generally driven by leadership, management, et cetera. And they're busy work, but they kill the mojo of us salespeople. And if you're a business developer or a capture manager, then your job primarily is to go out to the customer, to get out there, talk to them, engage them, understand what's going on. We are people, if that makes sense, right? We like talking to people. We don't like sitting over here and doing something. Accountants, as an example, they're comfortable doing work on a computer in an office. That's where they feel good about their, what they like to do and what they do, the value they bring to the company. If you send them out and say, I need you to start talking to people, generally they will be frightened, scared. They will be staying in their car. They'll be on the wall. They won't do it. It's because that's not their strength. Their strength is here. And salespeople, our strength is going out and saying hi to people we don't know. That's what we want from salespeople. And so when organizations make us do the wrong activity, this busy work, it just sucks. It's like no fun for us. And that's why I said kills my mojo. And I don't want anybody who's doing sales to have their mojo dropped by bad activities. These tend to be activities, wrong activities tend to be activities that are similar, that whole line of activity for activity's sake. People think if they put these activities in place that somehow it's contributing to the sale. But if those activities aren't aligned to the 4 steps of the capture process that I laid out, then they're really not contributing to the success of the sale. Let me give you my biggest, the task I hate more than anything else in federal business development capture, federal sales. It's when organizations require capture managers to put together a capture management plan. I hate those with a passion. They're from like 20 and 30 years ago, even though I've been around for that whole time. They're really old way of looking at things. And it's this documentation for the sake of documenting something. I am a big fan of capture planning. I am not a big fan of what typically is known as a capture plan. Almost always is in a PowerPoint deck or something, because what happens is we're forcing salespeople, business developers, capture managers, et cetera, to be having to fill out this PowerPoint, and the information in there begins to become less reliable than upstream. The activity that we want a salesperson to be doing can easily fit into the pipeline as fields or as stages that can be measured. And so then leadership can see the quality of their pipeline. If you're using a capture management plan or a capture plan in some formal way, that tends to be a lot more normal at the billion-dollar companies when you have many people going after a particular opportunity. But when you're downstream, even I work with customers who have 1 and 2 people who are for 80% of the time driving the sales activity on 100 and 200 million dollar opportunities. To take them off and say, I need you to fill this deck out, that's an activity that's not there. But what I do think is important is that when they have a meeting with a customer, that capture person should document the notes of that meeting. I went and asked the customer about, I went and asked them about challenges, for example, pain points. Well, they should write a paragraph or 2 or a set of bullets that is communicating to the rest of the team in the pipeline, some tool that you have. Here's what I learned, right? It's not enough for the capture managers. So that is a right activity. And when I talk to capture managers, it's like, look, you're not going to get any love from me on avoiding writing notes on your meetings. That's an important exercise. That's something that is vital to the whole process moving forward, all the way to proposal writing, right? So I'm not going to go too much further into the wrong activities, but wrong activities, the easiest way you can tell that they're not helpful is if they're not driving forward the opportunity. If all they are is communicating upstream, then leadership should figure out how to get that information they want from their pipeline and the tools that they use. The right activities do move the opportunity forward. And so one of the things I want you to consider is right activities have a positive ROI, a return on investment. If I do this task, there's going to be a positive return on investment in the sale, in the opportunity moving forward. If I have a meeting with a customer or internally about an opportunity, it should have a positive ROI. It should at least have an expected ROI, positive ROI, right? If I miss it because something happens, it doesn't happen. Well, that's fine. That happens all the time, or that happens sometimes, right? But we should look at any task we do and say, what's the positive ROI on this? How will it move the opportunity forward? And I'll give you an example. When I have a meeting with a customer related to an opportunity, I always go in with a call plan. It's a 1-pager. And at the top of the call plan, not for the customer, but for me, I write down my objective. What is my objective when I'm meeting with this agency customer or with a teammate? And that objective is determining the positive ROI of the meeting. When I have this meeting and it goes successfully the way I'm planning, I will get this out of this meeting. I will move the sale forward this much. I will have gotten a strategic document. I will have gotten an introduction to the director of cloud. I will have gotten something from the government there. I will have gotten an NDA with a teammate. I will have worked out the basics of a teaming agreement, not the formal side, but just, hey, how much, what percentage, what type of work are you doing? I will have worked that out. So any task I'm doing, I want to make sure it has a positive ROI. That's the way you can tell if it's got if it's a right activities, if you can define the outcome is going to be positive from that. So I want you to ask yourself about tasks. Do they support one of the 4 capture processes that I laid out, right? Finding an opportunity, qualifying an opportunity, pursuing an opportunity, or writing a winning proposal. If the tasks you're working on today, tomorrow are not supporting one of those 4, then ask yourself, why am I even doing this task? Do me a favor in the chat, just let me know you're tracking along with what I'm teaching here by putting positive ROI into the chat. Positive ROI, all right? I had to explain to somebody once what mojo was. So I'm like, I don't know, that's like a phrase in there, but it's what makes me me. We salespeople and business developer captures in particular who have to call the customer and do cold calls and things like that. We want our energy to be high. Okay, so let's talk about why and what relationships are important to have and how they can increase your P-win. So today, the topic of what I'm talking about, the last couple of topics here, they're both around how do you increase your P-win. So first, I want to talk about how can relationships increase your P-win. And P-win is just, again, probability of winning. How likely are you to win a contract or a proposal if you send it forward? How likely are you to win that proposal? So one of the biggest things to just remember about why you need to have relationships, or you want to have relationships, not even need so much, just why you want to have relationships in almost every opportunity you do. Well, actually, the way I'm going to describe it, it has the customer, so every opportunity. But even with teammates, this is important. You can't do it alone, right? As you start going after opportunities, there's going to be things you can't do. There's going to be information you don't have. You can't do this alone. And when you team up with a customer to learn more, when you team up with teammates to work together to go after an opportunity, both these people in their own way are going to help you increase your ability to win. And so that's why you want to have relationships. And that's how these people are going to help you increase your win. And let me kind of tell you 5 of the folks that I think you should be having as establishing as relationships for every opportunity you have. And by the way, just a quick level set, I tend to work on opportunities that are in that 20 to 200 million plus level. And so there's all sorts of opportunities below, and I would do this same process down below. But as you get below $1 million, let's say on an opportunity, often the transaction will happen so fast that you're not going to do as much capture. So you can figure out when you're just getting started, if your transactions are more in the simplified acquisition or below $1 million, maybe some of this you can or can't do. But these 5 people that I'm going to talk about, these are important for every single time. The first one is when I have an opportunity, just laying it out as I am qualifying and pursuing an opportunity, first relationship I'm establishing is with the contracting officer. If I can't reach the contracting officer, then I can't really find out, has there been a funding or budget established for this opportunity? I like to call it, is there a real opportunity? Is it real, or is it just forecasted, it's out there, blah, blah, blah. The contracting officer / specialist who's responsible for this, if they're named for the opportunity, then to me, there's a lot more likelihood that it's real and that it's going to come out. And it's not just somebody put it as a wish list item or whatever. So first person I want to find out, and the first relationship I want to develop, and it doesn't have to be deep. It could be a 5-minute phone call, right? Just a quick response. It could even be them blowing me off saying, hey, you have to go to the industry day to get the information. Perfect. Well, at least I know it's you who I'm going to follow. Even though you told me to go to the industry day, I'm still going to follow up. And that's a whole nother training. But so contracting officer, contracting specialist, those are the ones who are going to tell you about the reality of that opportunity. They'll be able to give you some information. And the other thing, as you move forward, they're the ones who are going to shape that you will be able to work with to shape the acquisition approach, the determination on the NAICS code to keep it as small as possible, perhaps, so the competition is limited, the contract vehicle to make sure you're able to even compete on it. Any of this other information, set asides, right? Those people are the ones who make that decision. And so when you're thinking about acquisition, shaping the acquisition approach, you want to have a relationship with those folks. The next one, agency small business specialist. So anytime I have an opportunity in my pipeline, I want to know who the contracting officer is, and I want to know who the small business specialist is. I want to be able to talk to that small business specialist. One, I can get information. We call them the focus or receptivity. Generally, they're open to helping us navigate and reach the people we want to reach. But also they can be influential on making sure this stays small, that perhaps it goes to woman-owned small business, for example, if that's where you want to go. These people are liaisons between your business and the buyer. Make sure you're establishing a relationship, not just in general, but at every opportunity. Every single time I contact a contracting officer, I am CCing. I'm making sure the contracting officer knows I'm copying that small business specialist. I don't want to come behind the fact and try to engage a small business specialist. If I do it early on, they both know that I'm serious and I'm tracking on this. The third one is the SBA's PCR, or Procurement Center Representative. SBA PCR. This one's an unusual one. You can go watch my training on the 7 mentors. I think this is one of the mentors we lay out. And the Procurement Center representatives, fundamentally, their job is to make sure things that could go small do go small. The reason you want to have a relationship with these folks is because if there's things that you need help with, they can get involved. They're not going to get involved all the time. If you're just brand new to government contracting, don't really latch on. But these people can definitely help the bigger the opportunities go. In particular, if you're interested in going after an opportunity that is larger or might go large and you want to push it small, saying, hey, this absolutely can be done small, they can give you advice on how to work and move forward. And they can also talk to the contracting officer and the small business specialist responsible for the opportunities you're interested in. So every opportunity, every single one, I go into my pipeline and I fill out that PCR. I may or may not contact them depending on whether I need their help, but I'm going to know who they are every single time. Fourth one is the program office, right? So you want to have relationships with program office personnel. Depending on the size of the opportunity, there'll be many people. So easily there'll be at least 3, let's say, that you should be trying to find. Can we find them? Not all the time, right? That's what makes it a competitive advantage. If you can do capture and find these people, then you're going to sit there and increase your likelihood of having a high P win, because you can talk to the people who will share more information than is in the written packages that everybody else gets. And as the opportunity gets larger, let's say it's 10 million and beyond, 20 million and beyond, you're going to start having a whole bunch of people who are engaged, people who might not be on the selection board, the ones who actually go through the awarding the contract. They might not be on the selection board, but they're definitely influential. They're talking about things that they want to pay attention to. Should a seller like you be Microsoft Gold certified or Amazon certified, or should they be CMMI? Is that important to be level 2 or level 3? What are the challenges, goals, objectives that they have? All that kind of information comes from the program office. And so you want to have a relationship. If I'm looking at an opportunity and I'm moving forward in the pursue stage of this and I don't have names, let alone relationships with them, then that's a massive flag for me, because basically all I'm doing is bidding. I'm just bidding with a long lead. What I mean is I'm not waiting for the RFP to drop. I'm looking at the opportunity for 6 months ahead of that. But if I don't have relationships, I could have just waited for the RFP to drop because I didn't get any new information. Relationships are what allow you to learn more stuff, to be able to be more prepared to write a winning proposal and have a higher proposal score or P-win. All right, the 5th one is industry partners. And this is where you can learn about incumbents, companies that might be good teammates. You want to establish relationships right from the beginning. First and foremost, I'm reaching out to the incumbent. Hey, just checking in, right? I'm trying to find out who's there, who's the program manager, right? And the further I go along in my capture, the more people I will try to know from that place. But initially, I'm just trying to find out, are they going after it? Was it small before and now they're large? Do I want to team with them? Can I get any information from them that might make me feel like, you know what, this is a shoe-in for them, I'm out of here. So having a relationship with industry partners will allow you to understand more about the incumbent, but also build your team. When you build your team, you will have a strong likelihood of winning, because you're covering down on areas that you're weak at, but your teammates are strong at. It's standard teaming, right? You want them to come in and shore up where you're strong at. So if you're tracking on that how important relationships are and how relationships can help increase the P-win, put relationships win in the chat. Let me know you're tracking on that. Okay, last thing I want to wrap up with here is talking about how you can move an opportunity forward to increase the P-win, the activities you can do. And I wanted to give it a different spin today and talk about how I do capture out there myself and with customers that I have. And the first thing I just want to put in your head is think about capture management from an agile or an iterative way, right? I'm a software developer. I had software development company before. And so, agile software development was normal to us. But one of the things about agile software development, let me just tell you this really quick as an example, is there's this big application we want, and it has many different features in it. So an example is, think about your phone. It's got the ability to text. It's got the ability to email. It's got the ability to make phone calls. Let's just say those 3 or something. And so in the old days, we used to look at the whole thing and try to build the whole thing. Now what we do is we shrink that down, and let's just say we only want to be able to work on it making phone calls. And so that's kind of an iterative way. Releasing these features iteratively. Agile and iterative for the phone now can be broken down even further. I want to be able to take phone calls. I want to be able to make phone calls. I want to be able to record voicemails. I want to be able to dial with my voice instead of typing with my fingers, things like that. And so these agile just breaks the work involved down. There is an old adage about how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. That's what I want you to remember when I'm talking about agile and iterative to capture management. If we look at the whole thing, it can be a little bit overwhelming, right? Just see today. Don't see the award. And so the way I break that down is I take my tasks and I actually use Jira, if you're familiar with that. It's a tool where I can actually have cards and move it from to do, in progress, to done. And it's just me working on it. And I move one card at a time. And those cards represent tasks that I'm going to do on the opportunity, how I'm going to really move it forward. I'm always working on moving the opportunity forward to increase my P-win, the likelihood that I can win this opportunity. So the first thing I want you to pay attention to is 2 to 4 hour tasks. So the 1 to 4 hour rule. I want you to work on one task that is 2 to 4 hours. And the reason I say work on a 2 to 4 hour task is because if I take that task off the to-do list and I put it in my hands in the morning, I will get it done. And if the task goes longer than that, then what we do is we break it down into 2 to 4 hour tasks. I'll give you an example. I want you to write a 3-page response to an RFI. Some people will just leave the task at that whole thing. And what we say is break it down. So the first thing I'm going to do, one of the first tasks I'm going to do might be write an outline. An outline should take me 2 to 4 hours task, right? From my outline, I then can have 2 to 4 hour tasks. And the idea might be, well, say I have 3 bullets. I can say tomorrow, write 1 bullet, or bullet number 1, bullet number 2, bullet number 3. So I'm not seeing the whole RFI, right? The outline is making sure it's on track, but I'm not working on the whole RFI. Somebody asked me, what are you working on? I'm working on bullet number 1 of this RFI. You know, I'm working on 1 page. If that's a 2 to 4 hour task for me, that's what I'm working on. If I have a page and has a graphic, it's really important that I separate the graphic out and I have it as a separate task, because the graphic could, people get distracted and they think it's still 1 page, but that graphic is its own page, its own project. And that graphic might break down to 2 to 4 hour tasks. The reason I'm telling you this is because then you'll be able to truly measure your steps forward on a capture opportunity. So when I do it on capture, I write things called definitions of done. On my 2 to 4 hour task, I define what done means. And so an example is reach out and contact a contracting officer. What that means is I have to identify who that person is, and I have to reach out to them via voicemail, via email, and I continue to do it until I reach them. It's not done until I talk to them, or somehow they blow me off, email response, whatever, but it's not done because this opportunity needs me to talk to the contracting officer. And that task, though, the time it takes to get it done is 2 to 4 hours. I separate out, have a meeting with them. So one is scheduling. And so things like that, like breaking it down. And I just want to encourage you as you move forward, focus on one thing that you can work on your opportunities each day, and you'll move it forward. Instead of trying to see the whole thing, just go, what's one thing I can move this forward? One other quick task, because I'm running out of time here, is engage your proposal managers. You know, how can you increase the P-win? Engage your proposal managers or writers early on. 15-minute meetings once a week is perfect, or every couple of weeks when you're ready, but engage them. Say, this is what I've done. This is what I'm working on. How do you, any feedback? They're smart people who want to help you succeed, right? So the sooner you get them involved, the sooner they can provide any guidance. And then the last thing is always follow a proven process. I can't talk to you about my process today, running out of time here, but I follow a really strict process on how I move an opportunity, how I pursue an opportunity. And I break down those 2 to 4 hour tasks, and every single opportunity, I do the same thing. So that way I know where each opportunity is. So go ahead and track on that. In this lesson today, what I try to communicate to you and encourage you to do is focus only on activities that are going to give you positive ROI, going to move the sale forward. The second thing is establish relationships, because they're going to help you increase your P-win. And then the third thing is follow a proven process, right? A well-defined set of tasks that you repeat every single opportunity as you move it forward. For example, find the contracting officer, meet with the contracting officer. As you plan next week's activity, determine one task that can move the sale forward for each of your opportunities, right? A 2 to 4 hour task that you can do and move it forward. If you found today's training valuable, do me a favor, consider becoming a sustaining member in the GovCon Chamber of Commerce. And remember, government contracting, it is not a secret. It's just a process. I'll see you in the next training.